Well, good evening, this is Houndog Steve wishing you a very pleasant evening, and it's been quite a busy week preparing for reopening next week, and so whilst I was preparing to open, I ran myself off a few copies of things that I might need to know or might need to show people. One is about the wearing of masks, and so I went onto the Ontario Ministry of Health's website, and well, here we go. Here is their page. And right, basically the top of the page, it says, wearing a mask will not prevent you from getting CV-19. There you go. It won't prevent you. So why are we wearing masks if it won't prevent you from getting CV? And for anyone running a business, although the health departments are ordering that every business owner should wear a mask, here is your out. Number two, if you have difficulty breathing, you don't have to wear a mask. Yes, I forget who said this, but the saying is, learn the rules so you know how to break them properly. And so here they are, right out of the mouths of babes. This is the ministry itself, their own protocols, and they're telling you that the face masks don't work at all, and if you have difficulty breathing, you don't have to wear one. Now, and of course, I'm sure we all remember when the asymptomatic spread was the only way, or the most dangerous way to spread this outbreak. And of course, there is from MSNBC, it's rarely spread by asymptomatic carriers. So, and that's because, you know, when you're asymptomatic, you've actually gained herd immunity. Okay, so it's just these contradictions that drive me absolutely insane about this situation. And here's the biggest. I'm going to read you the whole article from RT, and this is about Neil Ferguson, who has just come out and admitted that the lockdowns had little or no effect on the outcome of the outbreak. So this man, on this man's word here, this is the man who modelled all of the projections, and incidentally, you know, Imperial College in London just got a massive donation from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and but I just find it's kind of coincidental. May have nothing to do with each other, but this is the guy that modelled the whole scenario, the unfolding scenario of this outbreak, and basically got everyone to lock down for no good reason. And here, in your face, without any sense of irony, apology, crashed the world's economy, threw everyone into chaos, 12 weeks out of work for most people, and the ongoing effects of this crisis will be untold. We just don't know how many people will be, you know, affected in so many different ways, as in losing businesses, bankruptcies, medical procedures that have been missed, this kind of stuff. And there's no hint of apology from this man. It's absolutely stunning. And more stunning still is that we're taking this all so seriously. So this guy, Neil Ferguson, has basically admitted in your face, and the WHO from MSNBC, that there's no big deal here. And the damage that has been done is just staggering. Anyway, let's flip over this article and I'll come back and we'll do a quick wrap up. Okie dokie, here we go. From RT, Professor Lockdown Fergusson, UK's CV czar, admits crippling restrictions made no difference. Where's the outrage? And here he is. Here he is, Mr. Neil Fergusson. The British scientist known as Professor Lockdown has undermined the draconian policy he unleashed on the world by confessing that Britain hadn't fared any better in tackling the disease than the laid-back Scandies. Professor Neil Fergusson probably woke up this morning breathing a massive sigh of relief because he had been ripped to shreds again in the British newspapers for the second time in just under a month. This time over his startling admission that there had been no significant difference in the levels of CV suppression when comparing the UK and Sweden. During his evidence to the House of Lords Science and Technology Committee on Tuesday, he said they, Swedish scientists came to a different policy conclusion based on really quite similar science. I don't agree with it, but scientifically they're not far from scientists in any part of the world. He then acknowledged that Swedish authorities had got a long way to the same effect without a full lockdown. In other words, in the type of roundabout waffling way you'd expect from a bumbling boffin, the scientist dubbed Professor Lockdown after he cajoled Boris Johnson into bringing the British economy to a screeching halt, reckons Sweden has essentially coped very well without being forced into any draconian lockdown, thank you very much. So where was the indignation about how his recommendations effed up the economy and made people prisoners in their own homes? It certainly wasn't to be seen splashed across any British front pages. Indeed, it was hardly enough to find much, if any, coverage of this very significant news story on Wednesday. It was buried inside the Daily Telegraph on page 7, running across a third of a page or less, with a very accurate subheading stating in clear black and white, "Professor admits radical Scandinavian policy worked as well as British policy of shutting down." The evidence from the two countries' differing approaches has left the professor with little escape route. UK full lockdown, business shutdown, 579 CV deaths per million of population. Sweden, softer restrictions, businesses kept open, 442 deaths per million. Fancy that. But why make such a startling confession now, when he could have, wriggled away saying it's too early to assess the data as the outbreak is still running its course? The cynic in me wonders if Dr. Ferguson's matter-of-fact admission that a full lockdown probably didn't make a blind bit of difference was fueled by ulterior motives, seeing as his own reputation is already in tatters. Was it a warped act of revenge against Boris Johnson for being forced to fall on his sword after being caught breaking lockdown with his own married lover? Or here's one for the alternative theory theorists. Instead of wanting to throw Bojo under the bus, could it have been a case of wanting to hide something else that's about to come down the track? With America now burning in the wake of the atrocious murder of George, the confession at this juncture reminds me somewhat of how a British government spin doctor sent out a memo only 30 minutes after the second plane hit the Twin Towers on 9/11 with a cynical recommendation that it's now a very good day to get out anything we want to bury. At the moment, the biggest accusation they could face is needlessly making a hames. For those of you who aren't Irish, this means a big mess of the economy. Even Sweden's state epidemiologist Angus Tegnell has since said that while he regrets not implanting stricter measures to stop the spread of CV, he still would not have gone as far as other European countries did. But the Swede being plagued with self-doubt sounds much more like someone racked with guilt about what-ifs, like an Oscar Schindler type of character who was pictured crying at the end of Spielberg's film because he was convinced he could have done better. According to Eric Drumney, CEO of the Swedish-based Tempus Montu think tank, both the UK and Sweden's response to the CV is ego-driven and lacking in strategy, he told me. Differences in the social structure between the UK and Sweden should have made a bigger impact between the numbers infected. The Swedish economy, for example, far from being protected by remaining open, has still been badly damaged as it relies heavily on exports, despite the lack of a lockdown. For both countries, it represents a human sacrifice on the altar of economics, and it is wholly unacceptable. It all reminds me of when John Cleese, in the Gourmet Night episode of Fawlty Towers, told guests that there were only 3 different types of duck on the menu that night, with orange, with cherries, or surprise, which turned out to be duck without oranges or cherries. And if you don't like duck, as Basil Fawlty quipped, well, if you don't like duck, you're rather stuck. At the end of the day, it might be too early to fully know what was the right way to go, which begs the question, why did Professor Fergusson jump the gun and heap such fulsome praise, no pun intended here, on the Swedish model? Whatever way you want to spin it here, he has once again undermined the lockdown, just like he did after violating quarantine he designed to meet his married lover. He might have been dubbed Dr. Strangelove after that embarrassing slip-up, but now he just comes across as the nutty professor after his latest confession. These strong words might just come back to haunt Bojo when he next goes before the electorate. With a crippled economy, thanks to the draconian measures, he's going to find the next election will be all about his mishandling of CV and specifically the economy, stupid. So, as I say, I mean, it's interesting, it says in the outline, where's the outrage? Where is the outrage? You know, I mean, I don't want to play down the death of Floyd there, in George Floyd in the States, but, you know, millions of people turn out and protest this event, and yet 2 billion people are going to lose their jobs and no one really says a word to this guy. I mean, really, why is there not an inquiry into why they even believed him in the first place? And this is not the first time he's made just absolutely huge errors in the past. This is about the 8th projection that he's made that has been so far off, it is beyond the pale. Okay, nobody looked into this. And when I was talking to a friend this afternoon about the statement, you know, she asked me, well, what would I say? And I said, well, look, in the first place, maybe the first 1 or 2 modelling mistakes that I made where there was huge errors involved, I would have gone to some physicists or mathematicians that I knew to run some tests on these algorithms that I was using for my modelling. Okay, because when you get 1 or 2 like really bad results, and we're talking like 1,000,000% off on some of the predictions. I mean, staggering amounts. So I wouldn't be in that position where I'm going, gee, you know, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about your luck there, buddy. Well, because, you know, and I'm just a regular guy. I mean, this guy's a scientist, for goodness sake. He's a scientist, for goodness sake. And you're not trained at university to go back and check and recheck your models when things look like they're not coming out the way that you thought that they should. And of course, the same kind of models were used in the climate change. Here, I'm going to put this up. These are the climate change predicted temperature increases. None of them were true, and all of them were wildly off. You know, you can just see by the observed data, and that's the truth. And that's the problem that we're having in this world today, is the fact that nobody wants to change course after the observed data is telling you that this is not the direction to go, or we made a mistake. Everyone understands mistakes are made, okay? It's continued, it's part of the human process. We all make mistakes. It's when you don't recognize and change your direction after the mistakes have been discovered to be mistakes. And so it's really become all about face saving and poo-pooing, and well, 2 billion people is an awful lot of people to throw overboard on a glaring mistake that should never have happened in the first place. So what I'm suggesting to all of my friends out there in video land, that we stop believing these scientists until they can prove that they are not motivated by money, greed, political bias, nothing. It should be a search for the truth. And that is what we deserve, and that's the only way that we can truly move forward, that we search for the truth and we eliminate falsehoods and mistakes as they occur, so that we can get to the truth. Because the only way that we are going to survive on this planet is by being honest with ourselves, honest with the data, and being truthful about what we're seeing with our own 2 eyes. Anyway, I hope you are as outraged as I am over Mr. Neil Ferguson and his fumble, and because, you know, for all of us, it made us make decisions that we wouldn't have otherwise made. Like I say, the outcomes, the ongoing outcomes of this crisis will be felt for the next 2 or 3 years to come in so many ways that we can't even measure it right now. And I hope this guy feels good about himself. I hope he sleeps well at night for creating the chaos that he has created in our world today. Okay, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Houndog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we'll talk very, very shortly. See you now. Take care. Bye.